Hello and welcome back to our Explore series. Today we are exploring SVADHYAYA, or self-study. And self-study is a concept that I talk about quite a lot in my regular classes, and I think it's a really important fundamental stepping stone from being a beginner yogi who maybe just focuses on the physical part of the practice, moving and stretching, to transitioning into someone who understands and feels yoga a bit more deeply, kind of transitioning into the more spiritual side of yoga. And when I say spiritual side of yoga, really yoga in of itself is a spiritual practice, but it can take a little while for us to kind of dig through the layers and get there and get to that point. And self-study or self-inquiry, taking note of what we're feeling, how we're moving, how we're breathing, throughout the practice is that stepping stone into a more spiritual yoga practice. So that's what we're looking at today. We're going to go through a fairly strong, powerful, full body sequence. So come to a comfortable seated position to begin. As you'll know by now, you're welcome to sit on a blanket, on a cushion, make things a bit more comfy for yourself if you like. You won't really need any props today, but a blanket is always nice if you have one nearby. So let your hands rest, let your shoulders relax, close your eyes if you're comfortable with your eyes closed. And let's take a slow breath in through the nose, out through the mouth. In through the nose fully, out through the mouth slowly. And once more. Then close your mouth and let your breath flow through your nostrils, breathing in and breathing out. As we settle in for our practice today, coming straight into the practice of SVADHYAYA, self-study. So I want you to feel, really take your attention fully to the parts of your body that are in contact with the ground or with your blanket or cushion if you're sitting on something. Feel those sitting bones, the hips, in contact with the ground. Feel the parts of your legs or maybe your feet that are touching the ground. And then taking your attention further up, come to your lower back. Notice if your lower back is sort of lifted and lengthened or if you're slumping down a little bit. See if you can draw yourself up a little bit taller. And gradually moving your attention further up your spine, finding a little bit more lift, a little bit more height as you take your attention higher up. Become aware of your shoulders, let them sink down away from your ears. Aware of your neck, sitting tall, lengthening through your neck without tipping your head back. And notice your jaw, what do you feel there? Any tension? Are you gritting your teeth? Could you loosen your jaw? And moving all the way up to your forehead and the muscles around your eyes. Any tension there? Are you frowning? Are you drawing your eyebrows in towards each other? Could you let them relax a bit more? And then bringing your attention back to your breathing. Slow breaths in, slow breaths out. And just for a moment, ask yourself how you feel. Practice of self-study or self-inquiry doesn't just relate to the physical body. More importantly, it's checking in with how we're feeling emotionally, mentally. And the more we practice this, checking in with ourselves, the easier it becomes to answer honestly, to tap into those feelings, emotions, thoughts that we might overlook or simply not notice in our lives off the yoga mat when we're rushing around. We'll come back to this at the end of the practice, but for now let's take a deeper breath. And then open your eyes if you had your eyes closed. We're going to move around to tabletop position. So come to your hands and knees, move the blanket out of your way, or you could keep it under your knees for a bit of padding if you like. Spread out through your fingers, bring your knees under your hips, and start to move with your breath. Breathing in, looking forwards, arching your back. Breathing out, lower your head, round your back. Keep going, cat and cow. Breathing in as your head lifts, as your back arches. Breathing out as your back rounds. One more cycle of breath. And coming back to tabletop position with a neutral spine. Bring your big toes together, take your knees a bit wider on your mat and take your right arm up towards the ceiling into a big open twist. Pause here. Take another breath in. As you exhale, come down into thread the needle. Reach your arm through, under your left arm, slide it along the ground, bring your head down to rest on the mat, pressing your left palm into the ground. Breathing into this twist and shoulder stretch. Then on a breath in, start to lift back up, take your right hand back to the ceiling. Exhale to bring it down to the mat. Take your left arm up, turn your chest to the left, reach up, pause here, breathe. Another breath in. Exhale, coming down into thread the needle. Reach the arm through, rest your head and shoulder to the ground. Press down through your right palm. On a breath in, start to lift. Take your left arm back to the ceiling. Exhale, bring your hand back onto the mat. Bring the knees back to hip distance apart. Tuck your toes and we'll come up to downward facing dog. So we've still got the fingers really spread out wide. We lift the hips up, come right up onto the tiptoes and then start to pedal through your feet. So straighten out your right leg as you bend your left knee and then switch sides. Stretching out the calves, the ankles, pushing the ground away from you with your hands. Take another breath here. And then looking forwards to your hands, start to walk up to the top of the mat. Try and keep your fingertips on the ground until your feet have come all the way up to the front. So you can bend your knees as much as you need to keep the fingertips on the ground. Then bow your head, let your head go. Gently shake your head left to right as if you're saying no. Let's take another breath in through the nose, out through the mouth. And then slowly start to lift, rolling up your spine and coming up to stand. Loop your shoulders up, back and down. Come to mountain pose, Tadasana. Take a breath in, reach your arms up overhead, bring your palms together. Exhale as you come down into Uttanasana, forward fold. So hands could come to the ground, or if that's a bit far away, hands could come to the legs. As you inhale, lift halfway, looking forward, straight legs, straight back. As you exhale, coming down, fingertips to the ground, step your right foot back for warrior one. So big step back, turn the toes out to just about 45 degrees, lifting all the way up and send the arms to the ceiling, bending into the front knee and pressing into the back heel. Lift your torso away from your lower body. So find a little bit of a lengthening through your midsection. Press back into that right heel. And now similar action to what we did in a previous video. I want you to try lifting up your back heel and then pivot onto the ball of your foot. So onto your toes. Soften that back knee, coming to a high lunge. Take a breath in here. As you exhale, try lowering down, dropping the knee all the way to the mat, coming into a low lunge. Well done. Take a breath in. Exhale, bring your hands together down in front of your heart. Take a breath here. And then twisting to the left. Keep your front knee facing forwards. Twist to the left. See if you can bring your elbow, your right elbow, all the way across to the outer edge of your left thigh. Pressing the palms together, lengthening through the neck, through the spine. So lifting your head away from your body. Pause here and breathe. There's the option, if you're feeling really steady and really strong today, to lift up the back knee. Oop, wobbly for me today. So that's an option you can add in if you want to, but if it's wobbly, if it's not feeling good, come back down. Then on a breath in, come back through to the center. As you exhale, bring your hands to the mat. We're stepping into plank from there. Take a breath in your plank pose. Exhale, you could lower the knees first and then come all the way down to the ground. Point your toes, take a breath in as you lift into cobra. Exhale as you release down. Take your hands wider off the mat. Inhale, lifting into cobra again. Exhale, coming down. Once more, the hands could go even wider or maybe a bit further forwards this time. Breathing in as you lift, still pointing the toes. Breathing out as you come down. Bring your hands under your shoulders, start to lift back up into downward facing dog. Come back to your breath. Now looking forward, step your right foot up between your hands for warrior one. If it doesn't get very far, you could lower the back knee and then help it to shuffle further forwards. So right foot comes all the way up to the front of the mat. The back foot, we're turning the toes out to about 45 degrees. And then we lift up and find warrior one on the second side. Bending the front knee, back heel is pressing down into the ground firmly. Find your breath. Find your balancing point, so fixing your eyes on something, your drishti. And again, lift your torso, your rib cage up away from the rest of your body. Now, slowly take your attention to your back foot. Lift your heel, come up onto the toes, coming into a high lunge. Soften that back knee a little bit. See if you can keep steady here. But also being kind with yourself and laughing it off if you're not steady, if you're wobbling all over the place. Be nice to yourself. Just because we're practicing SVADHYAYA today doesn't mean we're going to forget about the other yamas and niyamas. So kindness, compassion, ahimsa. Take a breath in. As you exhale very slowly, you're going to lower the back knee all the way down to the mat. Well done. Bring the hands down to the heart. Take a breath. If you feel you need to reposition anything, you can do that here. Now we'll start to twist to the right. Keep the front knee facing forwards. And you could stay there, or you could try taking the elbow across to the outer edge of the thigh, pressing the palms together, twisting to the right. Breathe. Again, there's the option, if you tried it on the other side, to tuck the toes at the back and press back through the heel, lifting that back knee. That's a strong variation, so don't feel that you have to try that today. It's just an option. One more breath. And inhale, coming back to looking forwards. Exhale, hands down to the mat. We're stepping up to the front this time. So bring the feet together at the top of the mat. Uttanasana, forward fold. Inhale to sweep your arms up towards the ceiling. Bring your hands together. Exhale, hands down through center. And back to mountain pose. Take a breath, relax the shoulders. Inhale, reach your arms up overhead, palms together. Exhale, coming down, Uttanasana, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift, looking forwards. Exhale to lower. Step the left foot back first this time, coming back to warrior one to begin. So toes turn out slightly, we bend the front knee and send the arms up. Looking ahead, reach up through the fingertips, press down into the back heel. This time we're going to turn the back foot out to 90 degrees and open the arms out wide. Now stay as you are. I'm going to turn around so you can see what I'm doing. So right foot is still facing the top of the mat. Left foot, the toes have turned out to the side. Arms are open and we're going to straighten both legs. Coming into Trikonasana, triangle pose. Reach forwards and away with your right hand. Let your hips tilt back like this. You're likely to feel this through the inside of the right leg. If your knees tend to lock in place like mine do, little micro bend in that knee. So reach as far as you can and then bring your right hand down to your leg and open your left arm up towards the ceiling. We want to keep the chest open here, so try not to let your left shoulder drop down like this. We need to keep your chest and your shoulder in a nice open position. 2 more breaths here. Pressing firmly through the feet, engaging slightly through the glutes as well. And then lifting all the way back up. Let the arms come down, turn the toes in and level out your feet so you're facing the long edge of your mat. Make sure you've got space in front of you. We're going into a wide forward fold. Hands to the hips, stand tall, take a breath in. Exhale, hinging forwards from the hips, wide forward fold. Let your hands drop towards the ground. It doesn't matter if they touch the ground or not. And let your head relax. Then turn your right toes out to the side, bend your right knee and walk your hands or your fingertips over towards your right foot like this. Keeping the left foot planted on the ground, straight through the left leg, bending deeply into the right knee. Big stretch through the inner thigh. And then come back through the center, turn the right toes back in, turn the left toes out, bend the left knee, sink down into that left hip. Breathe here. Coming back through center, once more to each side, turn the left toes in, right toes out, bend the right knee, sink down into that hip. Coming back, turn the right toes in, left toes out, bend the knee, sinking down. And then coming back up through to the center, turn the toes back in so the feet are parallel. If you can reach, bring the fingertips to the ground. If you can go a little further, place your palms down, fingertips facing forwards, hands about shoulder width apart. Bring your weight forward so it's on the balls of your feet rather than your heels. Tuck your chin towards your chest and draw the crown of your head towards the ground. If there's even further you could go, you can walk your hands back so they come in line with your feet. Still with the fingertips facing forwards. 2 more breaths here in your wide forward fold. Then take one hand to your hip and then the other and slowly bring your head all the way back up to stand. Let your head settle. You don't want to get a head rush here. Well done. Now turn your right toes back to the front of the mat. Shuffle your back foot slightly wider now. Bend your right knee and we're into warrior two. So as you bend that knee, we're keeping the shoulders and the hips turned to the side. The front knee is bending, but we're trying not to let the knee drop into the centre of the mat. So we keep the glutes engaged, the knee is opening out in line with the big toe if you look down. Open out through your palms, palms facing down. Virabhadrasana, warrior two. Breathe here. Coming back to SVADHYAYA, self-study. Are you able to stay with the pose and stay with the breath at the same time? Or has your breath completely gone out the window? One more breath here. Then bring your back hand, your left hand up and over. Windmill the arms around the front foot, pivot on the back foot, and step through into your plank from there. Well done. Take a breath in. Exhale to lower all the way down to the ground. Pointing the toes, move with your breath now. So when you inhale, lift into cobra, point the toes, draw the shoulders back. And when you exhale, slowly come down. Two more like that. You could take the hands wider like we did before if you want. Then take your hands under your shoulders, start to lift back up, either straight to downward dog, or you could come to a child's pose for a few breaths first, taking a little breather if you feel you need it. I'm going to turn back around so we're facing the same way again. Then when you're ready, step your left foot forwards for warrior one. So big step forwards with the left foot, give it a hand if it needs it. Turn the back foot out to about 45 degrees, rising up, send the arms to the ceiling, bend the front knee, warrior one. So warrior one, everything's facing forwards, the top of the mat. When we get to warrior two, we open everything out to the side. Lift and reach through the arms. We're going to turn the back toes out to 90 degrees, ready for triangle pose. So open the arms, straighten the legs. Reach away with your left hand, keep the legs straight, tilt the hips back. If you need it, little micro bend in that knee, if you know that your knee tends to lock into position. Reach even further away with your left hand and then bring it down to the leg. Right arm up to the ceiling, open through the chest. Breathe. One more breath in triangle pose, Trikonasana. And then reaching up, lifting out. Let the arms come down, turn the toes in, going into the wide forward fold. So again, just level out your feet if they feel a bit out of alignment. Take the hands to the hips. Inhale as you stand tall. Exhale as you hinge forwards into your wide forward fold. Drop the hands towards the ground. Again, don't worry too much if your hands don't quite reach the ground. Just let them dangle down. Now there is the option to this time round to try something different. If you have got the hands on the ground, try taking your index and middle finger, so your peace fingers, around your big toe. So right fingers around the right big toe, and then left fingers around the left big toe. Again, if it's not quite within reach, you can leave this out for today. If you are there, start to reach your elbows out, wide. Tuck your chin, draw the crown of your head towards the ground. Lift your sitting bones, the bony parts of the buttocks, up towards the ceiling. Lengthening out through the legs, bring your weight into the balls of your feet rather than the heels. And take 3 breaths here. And then release the bind with the fingers. Bring your hands back to your hips and slowly we'll lift back up to stand. Take a breath. Then turn your left toes back to the top of the mat, maybe edging the back foot a little further back, so wider stance for warrior two. Bend your left knee, sinking down into that left hip, making sure the knee isn't dropping into the center of the mat, so keeping those hips open. Chest and hips stay facing towards the long edge of the mat. We open out the arms, palms facing down, and turn the head to the front. Shoulders down away from the ears, standing strong in warrior two. Focus on the breath. Final breath here, breathing in, breathing out. Then bring your right hand at the back, up and over, windmill the hands around the front foot, step back through into a plank and then just lower to the knees. Take the knees wide, bring the big toes together, sit all the way back to your heels and come down into an extended child's pose. Take another deep breath. And then slowly lift your way up and come round into a seated position. Coming to sit or laying down on your back as we go into our last few minutes together. Taking some time for the body to recover from that strong physical practice, allowing the heart rate and the breath rate to slow down again. So you could be laying down or you could come to a seated meditation posture. Now we come back to SVADHYAYA, self-study. How did you find the practice today? Did your body find the postures easy or challenging? How do you feel now, having moved through this sequence? These strong asanas are designed to shift and move energy around the body. Sometimes it's hard to pinpoint what we're actually feeling by the end, but it might just be feeling different than when we started. Relax your shoulders now. Soften the muscles around your face, around your jaw. Take a slow breath in, slow breath out. And the question that I'll leave you with for today is simultaneously a simple question and quite a challenging question. It's simple because the question is, how are you today? How are you today? And it's obviously a difficult question because it can be quite challenging to vocalize or put into words how we are feeling. So taking this little bit of time to reflect on how you are feeling today. Take a deep breath. And we'll finish the practice there. So as always, spend a little bit longer on your mat if you have time. Give your body and your mind a chance to rest. I will leave you there. Thank you for joining me for today's practice, and I look forward to seeing you for our final practice in this series very soon. Thank you.